Some stars of a popular auction show took a break and never returned to your screens. What really happened to them?
When Storage Wars first aired, it captured viewers with its mix of real-life drama, competitive bidding, and surprising treasures. What looked like a simple show about abandoned storage lockers quickly became one of the most popular reality series on television. Fans connected with the cast members who brought unique personalities, humor, and fire to every auction. But behind the bright lights and fast-talking auctioneers, many of these stars carried personal battles that shaped or even ended their time on the show. Some faced health crises, some went through painful family struggles, and others simply faded away. Here are 10 beloved Storage Wars members who left the show and the tragic stories behind their departures. Barry Weiss wasn't your typical bidder on Storage Wars. Known for his vintage cars, quirky sense of humor, and stylish approach, Barry quickly became one of the most recognizable faces of the show. Fans loved him because he didn't just chase profits. He was in it for the fun, the adventure, and the strange treasures that turned up in forgotten lockers. Unlike some cast members who lived for competition, Barry was laid back, almost like a tourist enjoying the ride. After only 4 seasons, he stepped away, leaving fans with more questions than answers. Many assumed he had returned to his love of classic cars and antiques. But in 2019, tragedy struck. While riding his motorcycle in Los Angeles, Barry was involved in a severe accident that left him with major chest and leg injuries. The crash led to multiple surgeries and a long, painful recovery. For someone who had always lived with energy and charm, learning to walk again without pain was a massive challenge. Though Barry later reappeared briefly on television, his life changed forever. He never returned to Storage Wars as a regular cast member. Still, when fans talk about the show, Barry's name always comes up first. His story reminds us that sometimes the biggest treasures are the joy and laughter we share, even in the strangest of places. From the very first episode, Dave Hester made sure viewers knew exactly who he was. Loud, competitive, and famous for his catchphrase, "You up?" Dave quickly became the villain people loved to hate. He wasn't interested in friendship, he wanted control, profit, and bragging rights. Every auction became a battle, and Dave was determined to walk away with the prize. His presence gave the show an edge, because viewers never knew how far he would go to win. But in 2018, everything changed. Dave suffered a major stroke in the middle of the night, leaving him with serious speech and coordination problems. He needed emergency medical care, followed by weeks of rehabilitation. While other cast members continued on with auctions, Dave was fighting for recovery in hospitals and therapy centers. Although he eventually returned to the auction world, he never regained his old energy or competitive fire. For fans, his absence left a gap. For Dave, the experience was life-changing. The man who once couldn't let a single bid go now had to accept the reality of slowing down. His story shows how quickly even the strongest personalities can be silenced by tragedy. Ivy Calvin, nicknamed the King of Palmdale, was more than just a bidder. Before Storage Wars, Ivy had lived multiple lives as a professional arena football player and mixed martial artist. His toughness and confidence made him stand out on the auction floor, but fans loved him just as much for his warmth and dedication to family. He also ran his resale shop, Grandma's Attic, which gave him a steady business beyond the show. Ivy was a man who knew exactly what he wanted and went after it with determination. Over time, though, viewers noticed his appearances became less frequent. Behind the scenes, Ivy had been facing personal health concerns that forced him to take a step back. While he occasionally returned, often with his sons at his side, his booming presence was no longer a regular feature. For Ivy, family and health took priority over fame. His quiet retreat from the spotlight showed fans a different kind of strength. The strength to choose peace over pressure. Though his absence left fans missing his energy, it also reminded everyone that sometimes the hardest battles are fought off camera. Daryl Sheets, known as the Gambler, earned his nickname by taking big risks at auctions. He wasn't afraid to spend large sums of money if he believed a locker held something valuable. Loud and bold, Daryl was one of the show's most entertaining personalities. His son Brandon often joined him, and together they created moments that fans loved to watch. For Daryl, every auction wasn't just about profit, it was about building a legacy for his family. But in 2019, Daryl's world was shaken when he suffered a massive heart attack. What began as chest pain turned into a medical emergency that forced him to step away from the show. The man who once thrived on adrenaline and excitement suddenly had to face his own fragility. Recovery was slow, and fans felt his absence deeply. For many, Daryl represented the thrill of the unknown, the belief that the next locker could hold a fortune. His story reminds us that even the strongest among us are vulnerable, and sometimes stepping back is the bravest move of all. Every auction on Storage Wars needed two key elements: a crowd of bidders and the voices of Dan and Laura Dotson. As the main auctioneers, they were the heartbeat of the show, keeping the pace with lightning, fast chants, and cheerful personalities. They weren't there for drama. They were professionals doing their job and doing it well. Fans loved their chemistry, and their presence gave the show its rhythm. But tragedy struck in 2014 when Dan suffered a sudden health crisis. One morning, he woke up with double vision and collapsed shortly afterward. Doctors discovered he had a serious brain condition that required immediate surgery. The risks were high, and recovery was slow and painful. While Dan eventually pulled through, the scare left a lasting mark. For fans, it was a reminder that even those who seem full of energy can face life-threatening struggles. The Dotsons continued their work, but that near tragedy changed everything, adding a layer of vulnerability to the voices that once seemed unstoppable. Brandy and Jared were introduced as a couple whose differences made them the perfect team. Brandy was sharp, organized, and business-minded, while Jared was impulsive and fiery. Together, they created a balance that fans enjoyed watching. Their banter brought a different kind of drama to the show, one that felt both entertaining and relatable. But off-camera, their relationship began to crumble. By 2020, Brandy and Jared had split, and Brandy later revealed that their breakup was painful and complicated. As a result, both began appearing less on the show. Brandy focused on raising her children and building a quieter life, while Jared drifted from the spotlight. For fans, their absence wasn't just about losing two cast members. It was about losing the unique chemistry they brought together. Their story is tragic not because of illness or death, but because of the personal pain that ended a once-beloved partnership. Reen and Casey Nezoda joined Storage Wars with enthusiasm, positivity, and years of experience in the resale business. Reen's loud personality and sharp eye for valuable items balanced perfectly with Casey's warm, supportive nature. Together, they were a strong duo who impressed fans with their teamwork. In 2023, Ren's father passed away after a battle with lung cancer. The loss deeply affected Reen, who spoke openly about the pain he felt. Although he and Casey continued their business and appearances, the tragedy left a lasting impact on their lives. For viewers, this was a reminder that even when the cameras stop rolling, real life continues, and grief can change everything. The Nezodas are still building their legacy, but now with a deeper sense of purpose and appreciation for family. Mary Padian, introduced in Storage Wars Texas, brought a completely different energy to the show. Unlike the more aggressive bidders, Mary wasn't chasing profit margins or trying to outbid her rivals. Instead, she had a love for hidden charm and unusual finds. Fans loved her for her creativity and her ability to turn old, forgotten items into beautiful treasures. Over time, though, Mary's appearances became fewer. She stepped back from the show and focused on her online store and her own style of collecting. While she didn't face a dramatic health crisis or personal scandal, her quiet departure left fans curious and a little saddened. Mary's story is tragic in a softer way. It shows how sometimes people leave behind the spotlight not because they have to, but because they want something different. In doing so, she reminded fans that walking away doesn't mean failure. Sometimes it means freedom. Emily Wares joined Storage Wars in Season 10 as one of the youngest auctioneers ever featured. At just 27 years old, she already had an impressive reputation with her lightning, fast skills and confident stage presence. Fans quickly noticed her talent, and her time on the show seemed full of promise. But Emily's role was short-lived. After a season or two, she disappeared from the show without explanation. In real life, she focused on her family, eventually marrying and starting a new chapter as a mother. She also pursued her love of music, singing publicly in addition to auctioneering. While her decision wasn't born out of tragedy in the traditional sense, it was still a loss for fans who wanted to see her grow within the series. Emily's story highlights a different kind of departure, the choice to step back from fame in favor of personal happiness. Kenny Crossley brought humor and warmth to every episode he appeared in. With his southern charm, quick wit, and quirky one-liners, he quickly became a fan favorite. While other cast members were all about the competition, Kenny's real love was connecting with people. His personality was infectious, and he made every scene brighter. But as the seasons went on, Kenny's appearances became fewer. He eventually stepped away from the show to focus on his side businesses and personal life. Though his exit wasn't marked by illness or scandal, it still felt like a loss. Fans often search his name, wondering what he's doing now and hoping for updates. His absence is a reminder that sometimes the people who bring the most joy can also disappear quietly, leaving behind a gap that never quite gets filled. Storage Wars was never just about lockers filled with forgotten things. It was about the people who made each auction feel like a story worth watching. From Barry's humor to Daryl's boldness, from Brandy and Jarod's chemistry to Kenny's charm, every cast member left a mark. Some left because of health struggles, others because of personal choices, and some because life pulled them in a different direction. What they all share, however, is the impact they had on fans who still remember them fondly. Their stories remind us that fame is fleeting, but the memories created along the way last much longer.